on the big one here.
You're on.
Okay,
I thought they would have by now.
I'd like to call the village board meeting to order. Roll call, please, Patrick.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Present.
Trustee Paul.
Here.
Trustee Zerbal. Here. Trustee Mark Williams.
Here.
Trustee Bukowski.
Here.
Trustee Melchesky.
Here.
President Kardowski.
Here. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember all our men and women in uniform throughout the world. Okay, I have no changes to the agenda. I need action on the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action on open and closed minutes from May 26th and open minutes from May 28th and June 9th. We'll take them one at a time. 5A, action on village board regular meeting, May 26th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 5B, village board special meeting, May 28th, 2020.
Move to approve the board or special meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 5C, village board special meeting, June 9th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any comments from the public? Must be limited to items not on the agenda. Are there any? We have a lot of public here tonight. Any comments from the public on items not on the agenda? Any comments not on the agenda items? Moving on. Number 7, written communications or announcements. I have none.
None received in the office of the clerk treasurer.
Okay, moving on to number 8, action on the consent agenda. Arbor Day Foundation names Ashwaubenon Tree City USA. Action on the operator's license, the investment report, general fund financial report, budgeted expenditures, and department reports.
Move to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those consent agenda items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Just a question, if I might, Madam President. How are we doing on revenue? Everybody's hurting and hurting and hurting. How are we doing?
So right now, everything's kind of status quo from the last update. At this point,
Okay.
the only big feature, if there's any impact to the Packer season, that'll really hurt our room tax.
That'll be the big one.
That'll be the big one.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Number 9, the oath of office and promotions. We have 2 promotions and 3 officer oaths. Chief.
All right. You mind if I stand?
Please do.
Stand in front of that camera so my white hair doesn't show up on the screen like that.
How's that? About right there?
That's very good. That's better. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for allowing public safety this opportunity to present our promotions and new hires. I would like to start off with our promotion of Nick Kozlowski to the commander position. Nick has been with Ashwaubenon Public Safety for 9 years. He's a paramedic. He was an FTO. He's achieved Fire Officer 1 certification and a lieutenant. And prior to us, he worked for almost 6 years with the Appleton Police Department. Wanted to give you a little bit of a background on the promotional process. I changed it up a little bit since I've been here all of 4 months. So I needed to learn a little bit about how our people operated. So what I did was, after requesting a letter of interest and a resume for the possible candidates, I asked that we have an interview panel from outside our agency that consisted of police and fire at a command level position. So they had that interview. They also were assigned 2 essay questions that had to do with pertinent issues that we were facing today as a department. They had a oral presentation that they had to decide which one of the essay questions they wanted to talk about and present that to me, myself, and a PFC member. I also conducted 360-degree evaluations. Those were evaluations from people that they had supervised over the last 2 to 3 years. I reviewed their performance evaluation, their education, their certification, and their work history. So throughout that process, Nick set himself apart from the others with his preparation, his background, his experience in all 3 disciplines, police, fire, and EMS, his leadership abilities, and his character. So with that, I would like to congratulate Commander Nick Kozlowski. Nick, come on up here. I'd also like to have Nick's mother, Sue, come up for the badge pinning. Now be careful with this.
Good thing we have paramedics.
Congratulations. So one of our paid-on-call firefighters, EMTs, kind of dabbles in woodwork as well. And he made a plaque for Commander Nick Kozlowski, and it looks like this. So it was very neat. So I'd like to present that to you as well. Congratulations, sir. All right. I'm going to get my glasses because I'm getting old and can't read. All right, so next, I'd like to recognize Denny Staven on his promotion to lieutenant. Where's Denny? There he is back there. All right. Denny was hired in 2003. He's currently a paramedic and a fire instructor for our agency. Prior to becoming an officer for us, Denny was a part-time fire instructor, paid-on-call firefighter EMT for the village of Ashwaubenon. In 2018, Denny joined the POC program for the village of Howard. So as with the commander position, I wanted to change up the promotional process a little bit as well. This process consisted of a letter of intent and resume. Oh, somebody's not happy. No problem. Was he coming up here? No. No. All right, we're good. So the process consisted of a letter of intent and a resume. We then conducted what I called a mini assessment center, which consisted of basically 16 different tasks that they would perform as a lieutenant. They had 1 hour to work through these tasks, and then when they were done, they got the pleasure of presenting what they would do to a board, a panel that consisted of outside supervisory personnel, PFC members, and command staff member. And if that wasn't enough, they finally had to come in front of me for another interview. Throughout this process, Denny, again, separated himself from other candidates. His dedication to duty, his teamwork, his leadership skills, really set him apart. So please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Dennis Staven. Denny, if you want to get your family up to help with the pinning. Who's doing the badge? All right. There you go. We got to take this one off. It's harder than it looks.
Don't worry, nobody's watching.
No eyes. There you go. There you go. Congratulations. I also have a very cool plaque for you. Congratulations, sir. You bet. All right. We also have, and the pandemic has struck us all, so we have some new officers to swear in, but they've been working with us for a while, some of them. The first officer I'd like to bring up to swear in is Officer Craig Brock. Where's he at? There he is. Come on up here, young man. I'll take that. I'll give it back.
Okay.
So a little bit about Craig. Craig worked for us as a community service officer for almost 5 years. Was a paid-on-call firefighter and EMT. He's a graduate of Ashwaubenon and still resides here. Also a former paid-on-call. Prior to joining us, Craig was employed with the Brown County Sheriff's Office as a housing corporal at the jail and became a public safety officer for us on July 29th. So where's Kelly at? Where's the wife? Come on up. All right, no pressure. All right, Justin Hoffman, come on up, sir. Thank you. Justin began his career as a member of the Ashwaubenon Explorer Post. So, how old were you then? 15, all right. Before being hired as a community service officer. He worked as a CSO for 3 years. Justin also worked as a part-time patrol officer with Pulaski PD before joining us on August 19th. Justin's dad, Mike, has been a paid-on-call firefighter and EMT with us since 2001. So we are looking for Kelsey to come up here to help us. All right, you get more timing now. Last but not least, Mr. Matt Prokesh. Thank you, sir. All right. Matt was our most recent hire. He was hired as a public safety officer on April 20th. And prior to joining us, he worked for 4 years with Hobart Lawrence PD as a police officer and was also a field training officer for them. So we are looking for your wife. Where's Lindsay? Come on. All right, are you ready? All right, I'm ready. So as I said, it is one of my true joys in my position to honor new people, welcome them as they start their career, and to honor those who have worked their way up into promotional levels with us. So thank you all for joining us. I appreciate your support. They appreciate your support, especially during these tough times. So I wish you all well. Thank you very much. Chief. Oh, we got to swear him in, don't you?
Yes, indeed.
Come on up and swear him in. How did I forget that?
While everyone's walking up to be sworn in, I just want to say thank you for everything all of our officers do for the village. you know, given the tough times we've been in and the national narrative and everything, I think we have some of the best. So thank you for all that you do. It's very much appreciated.
You want to do the commander first? You want to do the officer? Oh, sorry. We're going to do the commander first.
Hello, sir. You raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Nicholas Kozlowski,
I, Nicholas Kozlowski,
having been elected or appointed
having been elected or appointed
to the office of commander,
to the office of commander,
but have not yet entered
but have not yet entered
upon the duties thereof,
upon the duties thereof,
swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
It's all official. Thank you.
Denny. Thanks for keeping me on track. I appreciate that.
Lieutenant Stevens. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Denny Staven,
I, Denny Staven,
having been elected or appointed
have been elected or appointed
to the office of lieutenant,
to the office of lieutenant,
but have not yet entered
but have not yet entered
upon the duties thereof,
upon the duties thereof,
swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Officer Brock. Good evening. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Craig Brock,
I, Craig Brock,
having been elected or appointed
having been elected or appointed
to the office of Public Safety Officer,
to the office of Public Safety Officer,
but have not yet entered
but have not yet entered
upon the duties thereof,
upon the duties thereof,
swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Good evening, sir. Ms. McKay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Justin Hoffman,
I, Justin Hoffman,
having been elected or appointed
having been elected or appointed
to the office of Public Safety Officer,
to the office of Public Safety Officer,
but have not yet entered
but have not yet entered
upon the duties thereof,
upon the duties thereof,
swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Good evening, sir. Best for last, right? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Matthew Prokash,
I, Matthew Prokash,
having been elected or appointed
having been elected or appointed
to the office of Public Safety Officer,
to the office of Public Safety Officer,
but have not yet entered
but have not yet entered
upon the duties thereof,
upon the duties thereof,
swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome to all. Thanks. You want pictures?
I didn't get that much when I made Colonel, for God's sake.
Look, clear the room.
Marino.
That many people didn't show up when I got sworn in.
Right.
Although I must say, it feels pretty good to have something good right now, especially in this field. Yes.
Yep.
I mean, days gone by, like last year, this time that place was hot.
Figure they deserve
Okay,
it. They
these
deserve
two,
something.
he's out there getting pictures. Should we skip these two?
Who's getting pictures?
The chief?
Oh, it's up to you. We can, once he comes back in, I guess. He's doing pictures with the officer.
He's doing pictures, so should we skip A and B and go to C?
Sure,
I would.
assuming they're here.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay, since the chief is out there having pictures taken, can we skip A and B, which is the appeal on the liquor license, until he gets back in here, and go to 10C? The people for 10C are here.
Do we need a motion, or are you fine with that?
I would entertain a motion, just
You
so...
can just do it. Mary.
Oh, just do it? Okay. Okay, we're going to go to 10C. Action on a site plan review appeal request for a new manufacturing building at 3411 Packerland Drive, parcel VA-L354-1. Aaron?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you can step there, Kathy, that's fine.
I'm
Sure.
assuming that's where I sit.
Yep, that'd be fine. The requested appeal is for a site plan approval that occurred earlier this month. Under the site plan review ordinance, anyone aggrieved of a decision of the site plan review committee as an appointed committee can appeal that action to the village board within a period of 30 days of the site plan review committee action. In this case, the applicant, Ms. Trinkler, would like to appeal the decision of the site plan review committee based upon the ordinance that requires a couple items, one of which is the basically a flat finish metal panel with concealed fasteners on the street-facing elevation of a business within the BP Business Park zoning district, as well as the requirement that the mechanical equipment on the rooftop is screened. I would like to state that from staff standpoint, we do administer the ordinance in a manner that's consistent with the ordinance requirements. The ordinance does require the flat panel on the front elevation within the BP Business Park zoning district and the mechanical equipment being screened. Ms. Trinkler is here. I'm sure she'd like to speak. If you have any questions for her, I also can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my appeal. My appeal, I've driven, I can't tell you how many times up and down Packerland in the last couple of days since the zoning meeting. And I look at my building that I'm proposing as well as what is already there, both in the village business park and the industrial park. I don't doubt that your ordinances need to be upheld, and I respect the fact that you have them. The first item, though, the face of the building, it's actually an office building that does meet the requirements of the flat panel. Directly behind it, which is about 50 feet behind the building, is the start of the warehouse that will then be expanded upon later. There are, on that building or on the face of that, we do have what is required as far as concealing all of the fasteners. However, it's not a straight, flat surface. And it is, again, 50 feet behind the office building. I get that you want that to look flat. I guess I look at it and say, the building, the office building, I respect that and understand that, and it is what you're asking for. Behind that, though, I just do not see the significance of having that be a different panel at an additional cost to me. I'm just here to appeal it, just to hear me out. The Bayland Buildings has worked with me. They've put up buildings in the area. We were told at the zoning meeting that this is an ordinance that's been in place for 3 years. I'm not seeing a significant shift in where I'm going to be across the street from where I am. There is a building, they have masonry, so it is a little bit different of a look. My main concern, though, and it is an additional $100,000 for me to do, is enclosing what will be up on the roof. The roof is 32 feet high, and it has a pitch in it. And at that 32 feet, the way that the ordinance reads is that if it's visible from the right-of-way or adjoining properties, you will not be able to see the top of my building unless you're a full 300 feet away. So anything adjacent, you're going to be a whole Packer field away before you can see the start of the top of the building. So I'm just asking that added expense, if I have to put it up and you're saying that I need to, I'm just looking for something from the village then to help offset that cost as an additional cost, as well as that panel on the front of the building. I understand, again, the ordinance, and I understand that Bayland has done stuff within the village and understands the ordinance, but in this particular case, they did not apply it to my project because they just didn't see the necessity of it, and they felt that what they put in my plan did meet the concealed portion of the ordinance. That's what I'm here to talk about.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Aaron?
Would you define the perimeter of the business park to the industrial park, to the whatever the other surrounding zoning is there?
In that area, there's really two different types of zoning. There's the BP Business Park Zoning District, as well as the IP Industrial Park Zoning District. The BP Business Park Zoning District does have higher standards than the Industrial Park Zoning District. This property does fall within the business park zoning, and therefore we have to apply those standards as written.
Okay, all right.
How close is the other one?
It zigs and zags through that area. It's not a mile away. It's less than a mile away. Again, it zigs and zags through that area.
What did you ask, the other zoning area?
Yeah.
I have a question. On page 55 of our packet, you said that the warehouse or building, is that what you called it? The bigger of the two?
Correct.
Okay. You said it was going to be 50 feet behind the office building.
No, it's 50 feet from the front, so when we say the face of the building, it's 50 feet behind the front of the building.
Oh, it's going to be attached to it, though?
Correct.
Okay, I misunderstood you. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
I'm saying that the face of the building is the office building, and that is to the code that we're talking about. This is 50 feet behind that.
But attached to it?
But attached to it, correct.
Okay, thank you.
So if this was in the other zoning district, this building would conform to use then, correct?
That's correct. As long as the screening is consistent across zoning districts. The only difference between these two districts is the requirement for the flat panels on the front elevation.
So you got to explain that a little bit to me as far as is it flat panel, just a flat sheet of steel or something?
It's a flat surface panel, similar to what you see on the Astro building on Holmgren Way, close to, it's a big blue building that fronts on that Holmgren side right there. It's a flat metal panel. It's more provides a better architectural look to the business. It's meant to reflect, again, the more corporate nature of the business park zoning district.
So what is she proposing?
It's a ribbed panel, similar to what you see in most other industrial areas, kind of the ribbed or waved metal panel.
It's not the rib panel where it's just the consistent, it's a little bit more classy than that. There's a couple of feet between where the fasteners are, and they are all enclosed.
So, give an example. Across the street from my business, Packers just built a new building.
Mhm.
That is a ribbed metal building.
Can't picture it. Is it the warming building, or?
No, this is the building that they're using for
Oh,
communications.
on the front elevation, it's all brick.
But on the side elevation, what is it?
I'm assuming it's probably, if you're saying it's a rib panel, it probably is.
That's a panel similar to what
Correct.
she's using.
Yep. Difference is that's on the front elevation of the proposed building.
If you look at the screen, you can see
Yeah.
the office building and then where the shop starts.
Is there any problems with height with the airport being close by?
No.
Okay.
Now, I was at the site plan meeting on Tuesday, and I like to get to those meetings because it helps understand some of the things like this. And the argument I heard there several times was that if you're allowed to do it, others will be allowed to, or they'll come in and say, well, she could do it, why can't we? I can just tell you, it wasn't too long ago, WPS came in here, and they've got deeper pockets than you do, and they really had a problem with enclosing the utilities on the second, well, it's actually on the third or fourth story. It was a tall building, right on Ashland Avenue. You couldn't see that for a long way, but it was required. It was required of them to do it. So you're in the same situation. People will see your utilities closer than what WPS had. So we made them do it. You know, we just can't say, okay, we can set the ordinance aside for you because the next person coming in, and I think that argument is valid and important. The next person coming in is going to want to do the same thing and say, you did it, why can't we? And that would be troubling to me if we set aside our ordinance because of the extra cost for you, which we'd love to have. This is a great development. Love to have you in that facility. That property should be developed just the way you've got it here, but we can't just ignore our ordinances.
Well, quite honestly, I do not own said property as of yet, so I can go literally across the street and put the same building up. Not being in Ashwaubenon, it'll be in Hobart. So this land, I've had a lot of issues already with this land, with all the wetlands that are on it. We've had to do a lot of site work with the Army Corps of Engineers. I was supposed to be in this building already.
Really?
Yes. So as of the reason why I wanted to get in here today is because I'm supposed to close on this property. And quite honestly, if I can't get the village to work with me, I'm going elsewhere. That's really where I'm at. So I'd love to keep the tax dollars in Ashwaubenon. I understand the ordinances. I understand your plan of attack. But when I look at where it's going and I look at what is around me, what you're saying is the ordinance does not match what I see around me. And that's the issue that I have with it.
Understand.
And the zigzagging that's happening, if there was a clear-cut business park there, I would understand the argument. I'm saying that based on where it is, and if you physically go out there and look, I'm just not seeing the necessity. I'm not seeing that the ordinance is upheld, and I get it's only 3 years old, and I'd be a newer property in that area, so I understand that things have to be held for that reason. But again, when I look in the area, this will bring a much classier look to what's already there.
Aaron?
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Aaron, Ms. Trinkler before made a comment in her statements about, I think it's Bayland Builders.
Correct.
Assume they were had everything up to code and ordinances, everything. Did I not see emails that you repeatedly sent to them saying, no, this is not right, it has to be done this way? More than one email.
Yes. The first communication I had was actually with Robert E. Lee, who was the engineer in the project, back end of April, saying, please refer to 17-2-200 of the code to verify exterior material requirements. And there were 2 emails after that then specifying, this is one of the requirements in the code, please make sure that that's addressed, which did go to Robert E. Lee and Bayland.
So this was not a surprise to them, that, out of the blue?
It shouldn't have been, no.
Okay.
My standpoint is we need to keep enforcement of our local codes for continuity over time. I've been in dozens and dozens of cities, not only in Wisconsin, but around the country, and architectural control is incredibly important in creating a community. So I'm not in favor of allowing an appeal on this.
You know, being on the site plan committee, involved in this conversation for quite a lengthy time at the meeting, we created a nice industrial park, people allowing the ordinances that we've got. What we did give her some relaxing on some of the ordinances regarding the side of the building that faced the wetlands. That wall should have had 3 foot of masonry or a hard surface. We allowed them to forget that. Also put 3 feet of, I'm just going to call it landscaping, to stay away from it so that the mowers or whatever else can get back there. No traffic can get back there. But because it's a wetland, nobody can see it. You can't get back there. So we did allow her grace on that part of the building. But the rest of it, we did uphold her to the ordinances that is created in the ordinance. So I myself am going along with not allowing the additional thing she wants.
I just have a question of Aaron. In screening the utilities on the roof, what's the requirement? Can that be a chain link fence with slabs that looks decent, or does it have to be something more than that?
It has to be screened. It does not define what material has to be used. And when we determine where exactly, because again, it says from adjoining properties or street right-of-way, what we've done is we've determined that basically from the property line, if you walk the property line and you look, can you see the mechanicals? If you can't see the mechanicals based upon the size of the building, that's perfectly fine. So there are a lot of businesses that have oriented the mechanicals such that they're really centrally located in the building so that you really can't see it.
But that could be a chain link fence well done with slats and so forth.
Correct. There's no definition for what type of screening is required.
I just find it $100,000 to do that?
I have the entire shop is going to be air conditioned, so there are 6 or 7 units, and it's not a flat tar roof.
Okay.
So some of what you see in Ashwaubenon, they're flat tar roofs. This is a pitched roof, and again, it's up 30. Quite honestly, what I didn't want to have happen is if I stand at the edge of the property and I look at the building, I can't see those mechanical structures. So my 2 cents would be, I'm not going to put anything on them, but I don't want you guys coming back to me at a later date and telling me to put something up.
Right. Understood.
So that's more of the situation. So
Okay.
it's because of the pitch of the roof and how they're going to be mounted.
The picture, that doesn't look like it's a pitched roof.
No, but it is.
It is, okay.
It is
All right.
pitched.
That makes a big difference. Thank you.
So Aaron, at site plan, the roof mechanicals never came up. It was only the 3 other items, which we relaxed the one on the wetland side of the building. If you can't see the mechanicals from the edge of the property, didn't you just say that then they don't have to screen them?
Correct, because that's where our ordinance is administered, and that's the way we interpret the ordinance, is we look at it in terms of, from the adjoining property line, can you see the mechanicals? And again, that's how we have determined to administer it, just because, again, it's vague in the code as far as it doesn't say from a distance of 150 feet back or 200 feet back. It says adjacent properties or adjoining properties. So we take that to mean the adjacent property boundary.
Well, that was the problem with the WPS, because that boundary was quite a ways away, and you could see, from that boundary, you could see the top.
Correct.
That's right, I remember that now. Yep, okay. Thank you.
And the current owner of the property, I was going to own to the corner. They asked for 2 acres back to put a gas station on the corner. I don't know if that'll fly in a business park, but that is their intention for that corner lot. So I would have someone adjacent to me right on the corner, and then there is a small strip mall that is adjacent right now, that's currently there. So there, I don't want to have someone come back to me after I don't put, and Bayland felt that this was worth coming here to talk about. We don't see, based standing where we are and projecting out from the other side of Packerland to the top of that building, that you would see them. But again, like Aaron said, it is a little gray on how it's interpreted, and I just want to make sure that I'm not going to be held to having that on there if I don't put them on right at the start.
I don't know, Aaron, do we determine that before the building's built or after it's built? I think it's, doesn't the developer?
Pretty hard to do that, Mary. You gotta work that in when you're doing the roof line in order to conceal it, so.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Right, it's not an after-the-fact kind of.
Not an after effect by any means.
Okay.
Well, personally, based on the building that's across the street with the metal fasteners, the hidden metal fasteners with the rib panels, the front of the building is brick towards the road, but the side of the building that is the entrance to the building is all that metal, sheet metal. I don't have a problem with that in this situation, but I understand the ordinances and everything else, but I don't know what to do with the roof part of it myself.
The ordinance does require the screening. As we said, I think it's important to maintain consistency, to say, look, if you're not sure if the mechanicals are going to be viewable from the ground, the ordinance does say that do need to be screened.
Okay.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to move to deny the appeal requested.
Second.
A motion and a second to deny the appeal. The one thing I want to say is, in Aaron's recommendation, I did circle the word consistency. And if anybody's come to these site plan meetings, they will know that consistency is huge. And so if you allow somebody in the business park to change some of these ordinances, you're not going to be consistent, and you'll be changing them. And that's why we try to remain consistent all the time with what we have been requiring.
I just want to say I'm struggling with this one.
Well,
I 100% agree, but this is, just know this is not a vote I'm going to, that's easy for me.
Just so I understand the motion, so this would cover both
Everything.
the screening?
I denied the motion, and what we approved at the site plan stands.
Okay, and the appeal is of the screening and of the front of the warehouse?
Yeah.
Okay, want to make sure.
Okay. It is, I mean, I would love to see this. It's a beautiful building.
It is going to be a beautiful building.
Yes,
Wherever
it
it's
is.
built, it's going to be beautiful.
I just struggle because like we said, the zigzagging of the lines of the zoning, that's where I struggle.
Those were created a long time ago.
They were, and the current owner of the property was not aware of the business park versus industrial park either.
Yeah.
So
I know at one of a gentleman that sits on site plan, his dad actually owned that land. I mean, he did. He owned that land at one time, and he knew it was business park. So it's been business park for quite some time. So, yeah, this is nothing against the project. It
I
just,
understand that.
for me, it's remaining consistent within the ordinances.
And I agree with that, and unfortunately for you, after reading the appeal, there's some sticker shock in there for you. And unfortunately, your builder should have made you aware
That's right.
of really, what needed to happen here instead of trying to push it through, thinking they can get it to work.
that may be,
That builder's been in front of our site plan for years, as long as I've been on this committee, and I've been on this committee for a long time.
it's just when I'm investing already what's to the tune of $4.5 million, and he an additional 100 grand, 200 grand means something. Means a lot.
agree.
So if I can build it across the street and get away with it, that's where I'm going to go. So unfortunately, for Ashwaubenon.
That's right.
So we have a motion to deny the appeal. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, now we will go to 10A, action on appeal of denied operator's license, David M. Lesage.
Before you is the attached letter from Mr. Lesage. He's appealing his operator's license application denial. The denial was rendered due to non-disclosure of some of Mr. Lesage's convictions, if you will. Public Works and Protection approved to uphold his appeal on a 5-0 vote. Mr. Lesage is here if you have any questions for him.
Chief, do you have anything to say?
Just as a matter of procedure, it was denied, like Patrick said, just simply because they didn't fill out or David didn't fill out the application correctly and list all of his convictions on there. As a matter of procedure for me, kind of like for you guys, if the application isn't filled out properly, it's an automatic denial for me.
Okay.
Chief, if it was filled out correctly, would it have been approved?
Yes. So I guess at some point we'll have to decide, and we've been kind of going back and forth on how we want to conduct this in the future and how you guys would like me to screen these. So for me, it's, these types of things can be easily found online on the Wisconsin Circuit Court Access Program. You go on there, it shows your convictions. So it's easily obtained. If you don't fill it out properly, then really that's a false application, in my opinion. So that's the only reason for my denial.
Well, we heard this at Public Works, and it was, in our view, a legitimate mistake by Mr. LePage. And if I don't want to speak for you, sir, but I think there were 2 court cases that were consolidated into one.
That's right.
And I think that confused the matter, but I think you explained everything at the meeting, so at that meeting. So I will move to approve Mr. LePage's operator's license to grant, in other words, to grant his appeal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to grant the appeal for Mr. David Lesage for his operator's license. Any more questions? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you,
I
David.
think,
10B, action on appeal of denied operator's license, Susan L. Verstappen.
Aye.
Aye, I'm sorry.
Attaches a letter from Susan Verstappen in which he is appealing her operator's license application denial. The rendered denial was due to non-disclosure of a couple convictions. Public Works Committee approved to uphold her appeal on a 4-1 vote. Ms. Verstappen is in attendance. Should you have any questions for her? The exact same process was followed on this one for me as well.
May I just make a comment about the back history, went further back, so I did want to look up the dates to be accurate on the form, and as I had mentioned, I inadvertently sent it in prior to having that information. I did not purposely not have it on there.
Okay.
Chief, same question as before. If it would have been on there, would it have been approved? Okay.
Did that go through? Yes.
I move to grant the appeal for Ms. Verstappen.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to grant the appeal for the operator's license for Susan I. Verstappen. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 10D, action on the request for a facility therapy dog. Chief.
This is before you, I think in part because it's already been approved by the board once, but I think we wanted to make sure that I was on board with this program, and I am in support of this program. Another item of question was the K-9 vehicle and how that was going to be worked out. What the thought is right now is when the current K-9 vehicle is moved out of rotation, I believe in 2022, we're going to recommission that for the therapy dog. But right now, we'll simply just make a cheap platform, if you will, in the current squad to accommodate the dog. It doesn't have to be the same type of cage, the same type of setting as a canine would have. It's going to be, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's going to be a lab. It's going to be with you all the time. Not going to be in the vehicle, so we don't have to worry about those types of issues that we would with a canine. So I'm going to let Jeff come up here and talk about it a little bit. You guys are certainly welcome to ask him any questions, but we just want to make sure that you have this information, that you understand that they expect to have this program fully funded through donations. They'll be working on that. And then the first time we'll have to consider whether we want to split the cost with the school district is 2022. But they are hoping that with ongoing fundraising that will be covered as well. But Jeff, feel free, sir.
So the issue with the squad car, because it's different than a patrol canine, it'll always be with me. So if I have a situation at one of the schools, he'll come into the school with me. If I have to transport a student to the crisis center or to another facility for other reasons, the dog would be left behind with a staff member. I'll have a kennel in my office, so if I don't get back before the school's closed, they can secure the dog in my office. Also, they had talked at the administration, school administrations talked about they would be able to stick around longer for me to get back as well. So there really is no special need in a squad car for this type of animal. Car I have now currently has a cage in it, so the dog would be housed up in the front by me. So we just build a platform on that front seat. If I do have to transport a student, they just be transported in the back away from that facility dog.
Okay. Any questions for Officer Edwards?
I absolutely love the idea of this program. I live with a 4th grade teacher, and I think this is really awesome, so I'm definitely in support of it. So
These have been proven around the country to be really beneficial in a lot of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
May not be during duck season, but during school season, I'm sure they are.
I would like to put a plug in for Jeff, too, by the way. I recently received an email from a mother, a parent of a student here in Ashwaubenon who praised Jeff in his SRO duties, the handling of this student who was involved in drugs, and unfortunately that didn't work out and he got expelled. But the parent couldn't have been more appreciative, more thankful of Jeff and his work, along with former Chief Dunning, who was part of that process as well. But she wanted to send that message because the national narrative right now is to obviously defund, take SROs out, and she wanted to make sure that we understood the value of the SROs in the schools. Superintendent Kurt Wires also echoed those same sentiments and couldn't be more proud of the work that Jeff and Jackie both have done in our schools.
Finance and personnel, the biggest issue is budget as far as how's it going to be funded and maintained, I guess. So, I mean, they said that they were going to be funding it 100%. I mean, I don't think that there's any question that, we think that it could benefit the kids, I guess. So, but I mean, it's just whether it's funded fully or if we have to fund it or fund it along with the school district, I guess.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'll move to approve the purchase of the therapy dog. Is that what the motion is? Okay, move to approve.
For a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to purchase the facility therapy dog for the schools.
Does the fundraising need to be included on there? Motion in the.
I don't know if it needs to be included in the motion, although they said that.
The problem with it is, in my opinion, is that if it's an issue for us to be paying for it, it should be part of it, because when we had the other canine dog in place and everything, we said that we were gonna support it no matter what, without fundraising, even if it's not there, if the fundraising is not.
True.
So,
Do we know if the school district is on board for half?
Yes, they are.
School district is on board with half, and we're really talking about, well, a little less than $3,000 if we have to fund the half.
But didn't you just say that they do have fundraising probably through 2022?
Yeah, so well, my goal is to be able to run, fundraise the amount of money to purchase the training and then operations for the first year. So then
So
we
that's
wouldn't be
the
looking-
first number we see on our form?
Right.
The 13,000?
Right.
You're hoping to,
20,000, I'm hoping.
20,000 is what
Yeah,
you're
that'll
hoping?
cover all operational costs for the first year.
Okay.
And there'll be a little bit of a buffer in there.
so the first year is next year, 2021, probably.
We're trying to get we'd like to have the dog in place for the beginning of the school year. The 2020 school year.
Okay.
But that'll get paid for with the fundraising.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're looking at the 2021 budget.
Really, 2022? That's what it,
21.
oh. I get it.
If you don't mind, I'd like
So-
to make a couple comments. And this is not a reflection at all of the dog, of the program. Our budget, to Mark was hinting at, is going to be very interesting, not only for 2021, but for 2022 and possibly 2023. I would caution about adding anything into a future budget without getting through the first one. If he can lock down guarantees with donated funds over the next 5-year period, that would be great. But, I mean, we're looking at some severe potential cuts from the state, potentially from market evaluations and things like that, that it's going to be a pretty tough budget go next year, and the state aid will not be reduced just for 1 year. It's potentially a multi-year. Certainly, if there's more impact yet this year with the COVID, then we don't know. The state just doesn't know. So I would caution about adding anything into a budget at this point without getting through at least the 2021 budget season.
I would be more comfortable in adding to the motion something about being funded for the first year at least, get through this period.
So you're saying that you would like added to the motion that it is funded to purchase a dog and the $5,800 cost for the first year?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
Alice?
Is it the 5,800 or the 13 and the 58?
Well, the 13 is the purchase price, and then the 5,800,
Is the first year.
correct.
I'll amend it.
Okay, Mike?
So the money is there to purchase the dog, is what you're saying?
No, it's not.
Not yet. I have to finish the fundraising.
Oh, not yet?
No. Right now, I have $10,000 raised, but then I stopped all fundraising until we went through again and got reapproved.
Right.
I had other people lined up. I had some grants lined up. It's just a matter of now putting back in.
You don't see a problem there?
No.
Okay, so.
People are
then
throwing money at a
The
program. like this.
5,800 is what the budget, or what the cost of the animal will be then?
Yeah, that'll be the complete thing. So it's going to be $13,775 for the purchase of the animal, the training, and then all the equipment for it. And then the $5,860 will be a year's worth of operating expenses. So my goal is to raise both of those combined.
Okay, so then the motion would be to approve with the purchase of $13,775 and the $5,860 and all of that in donation.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, so does everybody understand that?
Yep.
This was the dog, we approved this dog last year
Right.
originally, so, but it had to come back because the financing changed. So everybody understands the motion?
So this is for the year of 2020.
Correct.
And 21.
I would say a year,
It's a 2021
year.
school year, correct?
right,
From September-ish.
yeah. Okay. Does everybody understand the motion?
Okay.
Just a clarification of this roughly $20,000, is the school district on the hook for 10 of it? Or if we're sharing the cost of it?
No, because it's going to be 100% fundraising. We're going to do a lot of fundraising through the school.
Okay.
We had stuff set up. We had a couple of boosters and things that we had
Sure.
in place, but we just kind of put everything on halt until we got the final gig.
I don't want you to not fundraise for it, because I think it sounds like a great program for the kids. It's just that I'm being a little more cautious right now, I guess, after I know how this finance stuff works, and it's not gonna be fun, so.
Yeah, a question I have, why is the village funding it at all? It's for the school use.
Because we're in partnership with the school district on the liaison
Liaison
program,
officer,
and we share on it 50/50.
It could be used in the community as well, not just the school.
The school doesn't want to have the dog in their own ownership for liability concerns. So they like the idea, they just don't want the liability from it. So they're shifting that to us.
So we hold the liability then.
It's not a bite dog, just remember that. It's going to be a lab. So we shouldn't have the same liability as we do with a police canine going after suspects. It's a therapy dog, so
The police canine is used strictly for police department.
This isn't a pit bull, I presume.
No.
They ought to be banned. Just an editorial
I'll
comment.
call a question.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the therapy dog with approximately $20,000 being fundraised for the first year, which will cover all expenses, the purchase and the other expenses. We have a motion and a second. Any more questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jeff. Okay. 10E, action on cultural competency training. Chief.
Okay, so one of the things that I've discovered and analyzed, I guess, as part of my duties here, and in light of the national narrative, is what kind of training do our officers have? One of the things that has come up that our officers have not had is any type of cultural competency or implicit bias training. This training was discovered as an option by NWTC. It does not come without cost. And so I wanted to run this by the finance and personnel as well as you guys to find out what type of expediency, I guess, you want placed on this. And how do you want to incorporate that into our training? One of the challenges we have with training our personnel is since we work 24-hour shifts, much of our training is done on overtime. So the cost of this training with overtime, I think, was upwards around $27,000 or something like that. So I just wanted to kind of get some direction from you folks on what kind of priority you want me to place on this. Maybe get some suggestions, as I asked the committee, on how we should implement this training. Should we do it in phases? Their suggestion was to send supervisory personnel to it at first. And then if we do that, when do we want to do that and how do we want to do that? So more looking for feedback from you guys on what your thoughts are and how I would incorporate that into a training curriculum for our department.
Again, at finance and personnel, we looked at it. We don't disagree with the chief on this as far as training for the public safety. We thought that a good comment came up that might be good training for our whole organization to have as far as dealing with the public and you know, having them trained as well. We threw out the recommendation to have the immediate supervisors trained this year, because there's 3 or 4 trainings yet this year, and see if there's any way that we could incorporate in-house training, internet training, or getting the training here at the Village Hall, so we can train more people cheaper. We're not disregarding the training, we think it's a great idea.
Reasonable, Mark.
Reasonable, yes, there you go. So, I mean, that was our recommendation from Finance and Personnel, is to send the supervisory staff to the training, and then have administration look at other ways to train the entire organization.
But are you talking about public safety supervisors?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I presume. I agree with you. I think that's the way we should go.
Chief, is the cost mostly through the overtime pay? I noticed down on the,
Yeah.
it's a cost of $80.
Yep. It's mostly for overtime backfill, so,
It is an overtime?
yep.
Is this designed as a train-the-trainer type experience?
It is not,
It's
no.
not. Okay.
Allison, are we looking at that or not? As far as, have we looked into that with NWTC yet?
I didn't call NWTC, I called a couple other sources, and I'm trying to track down some other ways in which to do it, and we could bring it here at Village Hall, and we can incorporate it for officers and all staff. One of the issues is this is an 8-hour training, and sometimes that's just a lot to digest. You're not gonna change the world in a day, and so it may be something that we just even need for everyone's sake to really truly learn from it, is to break it down into pieces and do more of a series, so that it actually has the impact it's supposed to have. So we will continue to look at that, and if you approve that, we'll work on that and find something more specific, and a little more affordable.
And I agree with Mark. I think that would be great for the entire staff to go through some of this type of training as well. So again, just looking for some direction from you folks as well, and what kind of priority you want to place on this.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the supervisory staff of the Public Safety Department take the training firsthand, and then for our administrative staff to look in ways to training the whole organization.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to have the supervisory staff of public safety go to the cultural competency training, and then for staff to look at other training for the entire organization. Everybody understand?
All right, for what we're approving, the cost is going to be $27,500.
No,
It's gonna be less.
Oh.
no, it would
That would
be,
be
The
Al,
27,000 would have been for everybody?
Entire department.
Okay, so that cost will be reduced then?
Yeah,
Okay.
$1,000 maybe.
It'll be greatly reduced, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a problem.
okay? All those in favor say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 10F, action on request for captain promotions. Chief?
Okay, so what I'm requesting is for 4 captain's positions within the department. The Fitch study that was recently done currently supports captains within the chain of command. One of the things that they said was that currently with our, I guess, 10 lieutenants that we have, but 9 on shift, is that there is a current operational deficiencies with that structure. One of the challenges, obviously, is the chain of command. There's no mentoring or development opportunities. There's no clear or consistent operations on shift. And so what I would like to do is to take 3 of those lieutenants that are on shift and make them captains. This would allow our shifts to run more functionally and more efficiently. It provides that clear chain of command. It adds leadership opportunities for our staff. I would also recommend making the investigator position a captain position. And the reason why is they talk a little bit about unbalancing the hierarchy and the command logic. This would put that in line. It would help eliminate chain of command issues within the investigative bureau. And what I'm talking about there is if we're out on scenes and I have a current lieutenant in investigations, and they have to take over a scene, for example, and they are trying to, tell a captain what to do and how to do it. That doesn't necessarily always go over well, but I want to make sure that the operations are clear. We have a clear chain of command. We don't have any operational issues, which we currently do with the functionality of it. I can tell you, in my one-on-one meetings with the folks at the department, this was one of the most raised subjects that were talked about in my meetings. They do not like the current system. They had challenges with the chain of command and how we operated. By giving us captains, it allows them to run their shifts. It allows me to help them run their shifts in a clear, concise way. So we're all operating on the same page. It also allows me to attract and retain good people because there are promotional opportunities. I know the biggest question you're going to ask is, where are we getting the money? Right? Because we've talked about that. We talked about that on $3,000. So where am I going to get the money? I can tell you this year, right now, just because of the way things are, we're about $173,000 under budget in our overtime cost. Did I have anything to do with that? Not so much, okay? Obviously, that was COVID stuff. We have done some things. One of the things that I'm trying to do is to make us conscious of how we're spending our overtime. Are there opportunities for us to save money in overtime in the future? Absolutely. We can do that in a number of ways. We can work on training on our shift, how that works, how we can incorporate that to save money in overtime costs. We can look for ways to recoup money on special events for organizations that don't necessarily fund us completely, as they should right now. So there are those opportunities there. So there are opportunities to actually make up this money and more than this money in overtime expenditures. I will say that I think that it's important for you guys to consider that we did a study on the department. The Fitch Group recommended this. We spent somewhere upwards of $90,000 on that study, so I think that it would be something that you guys would seriously consider, operationally wise, following the Fitch study. And I would also like to say that this would do a lot for, in my opinion, for me, helping me to run the department, get people where I need to get them, and to operate more functionally within the organization. So I would really appreciate your support on this, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Again, at Finance and Personnel, we think that this is a great opportunity for the chief to, get things set up for his command, and looking at the Fitch study as well and their recommendations. But our recommendation was to consider this at budget time, because additional staff or changing of staff is usually handled at that time. That was the only issue that we really had with it. We endorse it, I think, by the Finance and Personnel Committee, but I mean, we're just trying to stay steady on what we've done in the past.
And that makes sense, but I think that this year is probably, right now, we have the money to do it in the budget because of this cost savings and overtime. So if we want to look at future years and how we're going to fund that in budget overtime, we can certainly do that, but that shouldn't, in my opinion, prohibit us from doing it from now, because we have the funds now.
Well, I have a question on the Fitch study. When are we going to get into this? I mean, I understand what you're saying, I think. I don't operate your department, but I can see your point. But you're saying, let's accept Fish's recommendation here, but let's not accept the Fish recommendation on not putting a captain in charge of investigation. So,
well, we can't agree with everything now, can we?
I know, I understand. Yes, that's right. But that's my point. You want some of it, but you don't want all of it, or you don't want other parts of it. So, and you may be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is, when are we going to see this Fitch study and sink our teeth into it, so we don't have issues like this where we say this part of it's good, but this part of it isn't good? Because we as the chief said, we paid some dollars for that study. We should be able to use it one of these days.
I haven't seen a hard copy of the Fitch study,
Right.
but I mean, we've had a presentation by Fitch when they came in and gave it to us and everything.
But I mean, that was a long time ago, and I mean, who remembers a oral pitch? I mean, when you get into this kind of detail, it's difficult to remember that, right?
I don't
For me, anyway, at
know
my
that
age.
Fitch has given, Allison, has Fitch given us the actual hard copy? I've not seen it.
There's not a hard copy yet. The chief and Randy were working on some additional things with them and wanted some additional modifications and schedules and things like that. So they're continuing to work on it still.
Okay.
Perhaps maybe even as a compromise, well, first to clarify, the chief and Greg and I have gone back and forth on some clarification on some additional costs because overtime's not in this. So this number is really like 30,000, not 23,000 or whatever it is. But somewhat minor difference, but perhaps more as a compromise, it could be submitted as part of his September, I'm looking at the green sheet, sorry. It's not what you put in the green sheet.
Sorry, 29,828.
Right, but your green sheet does, I'm not trying to argue with you, I'm sorry, but the
Yeah, no,
green
no.
sheet to them, it says 23. So, the budget will be submitted by September, so at least we'd get an early response in terms of what his budget looks like. And then once we get through that, and if we can see those other changes, he could still implement it at some point earlier this year, or in the year, but at least be able to see what 21 looks like when he has an opportunity to put the full budget together. I think the overall concern from Greg and I is that, again, we don't know what next year looks like, and Greg's referencing these things with, we're concerned that hotel room tax revenue, our portion is 400,000. That number could be half what it is. Depends on what happens with football season. That's a significant decrease in revenue. When we're talking about a 5% decrease in our state aid, that's another significant number. The change in our equalized value from the state. So what happened for 2020? Because we were 94% of 94.5% of our equalized value ratio that dropped, we had to cut our levy just to keep taxes the same. So that is going to happen to us again in 21. Right now, Mike Diener is already estimating that down to 0.89. So again, no matter, without changing revenues, we will have to cut our budget just for your tax rate to stay the same. And now take on hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential change of other things. So that is the overall very bleak outlook, I guess, currently for our financial situation. And while we very much support the captains, I think this is the direction the chief needs to go in. It's how do we pay for that long term without additional cuts in the budget?
Go ahead. I was just going to say that I had a conversation with the chief about his overtime costs and controlling his overtime costs. So this year, the captain position would cost us about half of that because we're halfway into the year. I asked him if he thought he could get a large portion of that out of some of his overtime costs. And I think if you have another set of eyes on the budget and you have people within your organization who understand why you have to watch your budget so close, I think it also helps. So, we do have the money in the budget this year because of the overtime that we've not had. This year really isn't the problem. It's going to be next year. So in September, it's going to be a thing of, are you going to fund them? I guess it comes down to, do you want to fund the captain positions? Is that going to be important to you in your future budgets? So.
All right, I'm going to make a motion in view of what you just said and our financial situation that we table this matter until we see the budgetary process as it proceeds later in this year, September and October, and we take a look at it then, and if we can, if as a board we decide we can fund it, great. If we decide we can't, so be it. So I move to table it and give us a chance to look at our budget process for next year. And that didn't get a second, so let's move on.
Well, I don't know if a table is, I mean, That was what we suggested as finance and personnel. I'm just not sure if that's the right.
Well, it is, but what I'm saying is, I agree with your recommendation, but I'm also, I want to expand it to say what Ellison said, that is, we look at it after the budget proposals come in, and maybe later this year, if we see our way clear to fund it, we could do that before the year is ended. That's all I was trying to get at.
I don't have a problem in second as table, because that's basically what we recommended, waiting until the budget process anyways.
Mark, say that over.
I don't have a problem in seconding Ken's table motion, because that's basically what we decided, what our recommendation from finance and personnel was as well. To take it, and basically Ken's motion at the table until budget time is what we recommended.
Okay, once there's a motion to table, there's no more discussion. So,
And, point of order, in order to bring discussion back, there has to be a motion and a second to take it off the table and put it back into discussion at some point in the future.
Sure, you're right. And we could do that at budget, around the budget time cycle.
And you can vote no to the table if you wanted to.
correct. Correct. So, we have a motion and a second to table this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Roll
No.
call.
What? Okay.
Voice vote, please.
Trustee Allison Williams.
No.
Trustee Paul.
No.
Trustee Zerbal. No. Trustee Mark Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Bukowski.
Yes.
Trustee Melchesky.
No.
President Kardasky.
No.
Motion is defeated.
Okay, so you can, if you want to discuss it, or if anybody else would like to make a different motion,
I'll make the motion that this goes through the budgetary process and gets presented as the budget develops from the department.
That's what I thought I had said, but maybe I didn't make myself clear.
I'll second
I think
that.
it was the table, Ken.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
I'm confused.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to let this go through the budgetary process. Any further discussion?
I think this idea is something that's needed. It's well presented. I don't think there's any reason that we need to wait 4, 5, 6 months to put this into action, because I think at that point, it's going to go into action anyway. And for basically the nominal cost, and I understand the budget's going forward in the next number of years, this still needs to be done.
I agree with you, Chris, and the subject of the study was brought up. This is a way of starting to utilize this study that was implemented a year ago already, so I have to agree in your favor of that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to let this go through the budgetary process. All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call. Trustee Allison Williams.
No.
Trustee Paul.
No.
Trustee Zerbal.
No?
Trustee Mark Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Bukowski.
Yes.
Trustee Melchesky.
Yes.
President Kardasky.
No.
Motion is defeated.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve the request to eliminate 4 lieutenant positions and make 4 captain positions.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to eliminate 4 lieutenant positions and create 4 captain positions. All those in favor, whoa,
I got a comment.
okay,
I'm going to vote against this just because I think it should go through the budgetary process, not because I don't like what it's doing. I just think it should be waited on and acted upon at that time.
Ditto. Roll call vote, please.
Any further discussion? Trustee Allison Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
Trustee Zerbal?
Yes.
Trustee Mark Williams?
No.
Trustee Bukowski?
No.
Trustee Melchesky?
Yes.
President Kardasky?
Yes. Okay. 10G, review and action regarding the 2020 sidewalk and Village Hall parking lot improvements contract. Mr. Martin.
Yes, good evening, everybody. If you remember, as part of the 2020 budget, both general fund and TIF projects, we had 3 sidewalk / parking lot projects, one of them being the Ridge Road sidewalk, east side of Ridge Road from Valley View down to Morris Avenue. That's bringing foot traffic, if you will, from Lambeau Field down to Morris Avenue. You have it currently on the west side of the road. This one's been in the TIF plan for a number of years to get the foot traffic down to the next couple blocks. Second project is a continuation. When Mike McCarthy Way was reconstructed in 2018, the sidewalk was constructed at 5 feet at that point in time, and the village was planning on going underground with the power, but that was coming at a later date. That work was designed last year and for construction this year. Once the power went underground, then the sidewalk was going to be finished off, similar to what Mike McCarthy Way is west of Holmgren Way, between Holmgren and Ashland on the north side of the road. So that project will be forthcoming this summer as well as one of the bid parts of this project. And then the third part of the project is the South Village Hall. If you remember, that went through the budget process. That's out of Village Hall building funds. And we'll be redoing the south parking lot, some drive lane right by the stadium, and doing the parking lot, if you will, basically up to where the air conditioner is out and back. I'm sure everybody knows where that is, but roughly that area to the halfway through the backside of the Village Hall. Excuse me. Combined all 3 parts of this project into one bid to try and get an economy of scale. Had good bids on the sidewalk for both Ridge Road and Mike McCarthy Way. Those came in, I think I summarized, about 25,000 under. The parking lot out back here came in about 90,000 over. And biggest reason on that, if any of you have driven some of the portions of it, the amount, the ability to pulverize the parking lot and regrade it just as is, just isn't there. If you've seen some of the parking lot, it's pretty bad in some areas, and we're going to have to over excavate a good portion of the parking lot. So having said that, total bids, we had 10 pre-qualified bidders, 2 submitted bids. A number of the pre-qualified bidders were working together to submit bids, and that's why it's down to 2. The low bid was through Vinton Construction for $517,908.30. Having said that, 2 parts of the project were under, 1 part was over. We do have some funds in the village building fund that could cover some of the overage. We also have a couple of our TIF projects, Vanderparen Way, Mike McCarthy Way, Cormier Road, that are coming in. We're still closing those projects out. They are coming in under budget, that we'll be able to use some of those funds to cover the shortfall as well. So a recommendation from staff would be to approve the contract to Vinton Construction for $517,908.30. What that will be approving is the sidewalk on Ridge Road, the sidewalk on Mike McCarthy, the south parking lot here at Village Hall with epoxy striping. If you look in the description, there were 2 other alternates of adding some additional parking stalls that we are not recommending at this time. The parking lot as is right now is roughly 36 stalls. With our current design, we'll be bumping it up to right around 65 to 70. So we're almost doubling our capacity with the current design as is. That will get you a parking lot with curb and gutter all the way around, new drainage, everything all set to kind of help limit some of the grass parking issues that we're seeing out there now on game days and things of that nature.
Doug, what is alternative one? Is that included in that 517?
Yes, alternative one is the epoxy striping
Okay.
of the parking stalls. You can go with just a water-based paint. You end up replacing that after about 2 years, or updating after 2 years, where you can get roughly about 7 years with epoxy painting.
Make a motion to approve Vinton Construction bid for $517,908.30.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Vinton Construction for $517,908.30. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Just a quick little follow-up on that one. The sidewalk projects will be starting within the next 3 weeks, I would say, once we have the contracts turned around. The south parking lot project will be starting the middle of August. We had meetings with the baseball team we had meetings with the baseball team pre-March and post-March, discussing timeframes on that. Mid-August worked out best for construction so that they could still use some of the parking lot on game days and things of that nature. So just more of an FYI.
Okay. Thank you. 10H, review and action regarding the award of the 2020 bituminous planning and paving contract.
This is Mary's favorite agenda item every year. She gets to say bituminous.
I love to say bituminous because it took me a lot of years to learn to say bituminous.
It's our mill pave contract, but we're not going to change the name of it one bit. So
Thank you.
What we have, Mark, as you mentioned, we have this each year. There was roughly $650,000 that was in the budget for this year. We had $250,000 set aside from our Cormier Road project for Clare Court. That's the court that you take off of Cormier Road to come back to the yard waste disposal facility. And if any of you have driven it, if you have any loose teeth, it's a great stretch to drive if you need to get rid of them, because it's in pretty rough shape. We delayed this work and put it under our mill pave contract, because the Cormier Road contract, if you remember, that was a funded project through the state. When you get some of the STP urban grant funds through the state, you also have to have state oversight and pay for state oversight on the project. We didn't want to spend money of our mill pave work on state oversight, so we pulled that project and put it into this year's mill pave program. That's why you see that total the way it is. Just like last year, we have a couple stretches of street that we'll need to work with the contractor to trim off so that we meet budgets. So we'll be asking for the award to award to the low bidder of Northeast Asphalt in the amount of $957,959.50, with the understanding that we'll be working with the contractor to trim the total streets to match our budget of $900,000. And with that, I'll take any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the Northeast Asphalt bid for $957, $959.50, with the understanding that they work with staff on getting it to the $900,000 that's budgeted.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award the bid to Northeast Asphalt, amount of $957,959.50, with the staff working to get it to $900,000. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10I, action on report of CDA to transfer parcel VA-41-7. Allison.
In order to proceed with the construction of the Brown County Expo Center, we had probably like 4 parcels actually transferred to the CDA and joined as one large parcel, because we had fire code issues between the Rush Center and the Expo that even that parcel needed to be joined together. When we did that, we also carved out a future parcel that's on the corner of Oneida and Lombardy. It's a long, narrow rectangle along the longest part being along Lombardy for potential future development. Right now, no one would see it or treat it as anything different, but that parcel does need to be transferred back to Brown County. And then pursuant to state statutes under the CDA, we had to do a public hearing, and then they had to do a report, and they have to report back to you to get authority to transfer that parcel. So this is the last step in a series of hoops that we need to do to transfer that parcel back. It's at $1. It was always intended that it would go back to Brown County, but we weren't able to avoid the transfer to us without jumping through all these hoops to give it back to them, essentially.
Move to approve the transfer of VA -41-7 back to the Brown County.
Second.
Motion and a second to transfer parcel VA-41-7 to the county. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 10J, action on ordinance number 06-1-20, amending section 6-12-463, parent G, parent 3, parent H. Patrick.
As noted in the green sheet, kind of a housekeeping thing, where you'll see the sentence that the subsection does not apply to ice cream. We want to add "and frozen novelties" to the language.
Was this a petition from some young people, children?
How do you find these things? You must live a lonely life.
I have my ear to the pavement, trustee Williams.
Move to approve ordinance number 06-1-20.
Second. Motion and a second to approve ordinance number 06-1-20. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 10K, action on resolution number R6-1-20, disallowance of claim, Matthew Mullins.
Village resident Matthew Mullins seeks reimbursement by the village for alleged vehicular damage caused by dislodged manhole cover on Holmgren Way. As noted in your packet, the village's insurance carrier, Statewide Service, reviewed the matter and recommended disallowance of the claim.
Move to approve resolution R6-1-20.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve resolution R6-1-20. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 10L, action on 2020-2021 retail alcohol license renewals.
Madam President, I'm going to recuse myself from any action on this item.
Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second, but would you like to add making sure that all fees are and dues are paid to the village?
I'm sure they are, right, Mr. Clerk, Treasurer?
Absolutely.
Okey-doke, thank you.
And you can, yeah, on that, okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to renew the retail alcohol license for 2020-2021 with all fees paid to the village. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Motion carried with one abstention. Okay, number 11, items for next agenda. If you have any, please call staff. Closed session.
Closed session items. During the meeting, the village board of the Village of Ashwaubenon may convene on closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851E for the purpose of possible discussion and action on deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business regarding parcels VA-54-2 and VA-55-A and tax incremental districts 3 and 5 where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. B, Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851C for considering the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee, including village manager and/or Ashwaubenon Public Safety employee personnel, and grievance matters over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or experiences responsibility. C, Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851F for the purpose of possible discussion and action on considering village manager and/or Ashwaubenon Public Safety employee personnel complaint and grievance matters and financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where parens B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. D, Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851G, for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel concerning strategy with respect to village manager and/or Ashwaubenon Public Safety employee personnel complaint and grievance litigation matters in which it is or likely to become involved. The village board may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.852 to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
We go to closed session?
Second.
Motion and a second to go into closed session. Roll call, please.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Paul.
Yes.
Trustee Zerbal.
Yes.
Trustee Mark Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Bukowski. Trustee Melchewski.
Yes.
President Kardowski.
Yes.
We are in closed session.